This was rather more of a last-minute trip than usual. For weeks we had rain and lows in the low teens, so when the forecast showed 2 days with lows in the low 30s and minimal rain, I jumped on it. If you have watched any of my videos, you probably know that I am currently on a quest to hike all the trails in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and become a member of the 900 Miler Club, which celebrates those who have achieved this goal. On this particular trip, I headed to one of my favorite parts of the Smokies, the Deep Creek area. The plan was to start at the Toms Divide trailhead. However, the Tom Branch Road that led to it was closed due to snow and ice. The plan quickly changed to heading 0.8 miles up Deep Creek Trail, then right onto Indian Creek Trail for 0.5 miles, where I would take Stone Pile Gap for 0.8 miles, followed by 4.4 miles northeast on Toms Divide Trail to reach Deep Low Gap. Next, southwest on Deep Low Gap Trail for 1.7 miles to reach Campsite 51. The next day, I would go 0.5 miles on Deep Low Gap to reach Indian Creek Trail, head 0.5 miles back and go 1.8 miles south on Indian Creek Motor Trail, followed by 3.2 miles southeast on Toms Divide Trail to reach its trailhead. Then, a quick 1.1 miles on Tom Branch Road back to my car. So this gives me a total of 15 miles and almost 5,000 feet of beautiful snow-covered elevation gain in about 24 hours. Well, it's time to hit the trails again here in the Smokies. This is Graybeard for the Sylvan Reflections channel. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to have to take the alternate route that I just showed you on the map. Okay, here we are starting off at the trailhead for Deep Creek Trail. So 0.7 to get to Indian Creek. All right. Yeah, we'll hit that and get on up there because we are already behind a bit. Yep, that's the one heading off to Juni Wink Loop. Yeah, so much for my early start. It's about 9:20-ish, 9:25, something like that. But every time you go, there's always something. In this case, changing up that loadout, how you do it on this ultralight pack versus that big, heavy, old North Face pack, you have to do some adjusting. Because this one's 40 liters, not 60. So when it comes to winter camping, I have to resist the temptation to overpack. Now we are coming up on the beautiful Tom Branch Falls. As a youngster, I can remember all the times my family would come to Deep Creek to go tubing. Every time we floated past Tom Branch Falls, we knew we were just a few minutes from our campsite. Okay, so we'll say goodbye to good old Tom Branch, and we'll keep heading on down the Deep Creek Trail. Leaders are starting. I do have to move. If I take a good pace on the flatter trails, that'll save me some time consumption on the uphill later. I think I have like 3,000 something for the day total ascent. Okay, well, the nice thing is doing it like this is one way to get that Stone Pile Gap taken care of without having to go out and back on it. This is the Outdoor Vitals CS40. I've been saving for the better part of a year for this one. It takes me down to about 1/4 to 1/5 the weight of the old pack. So I can live with that. But almost 20 liters less space. Oh! Look at that. As always, every time I come to Deep Creek, that's one of the things I love. As you cross over, you see that beautiful little step down mini falls. All the years to come as a kid growing up, and we would do tubing here at Deep Creek.
So many memories. One of the few things you'll be able to see, like over here. There we go. Never can get tired of the Christmas fern. Some other ones, of course, rhododendrons, always beautiful and green. But right now, we have about an inch of slush snow covering the road, everything we're walking on. That's probably the same thing on the Tom Branch Road going out to the trailhead for Thomas Divide. Oh, just breathtakingly beautiful. There is nothing compares to what the Lord has given us to enjoy. Once again, we reach some of the landmarks for which I'm so grateful to see. I believe it's going to be for Indian Creek. Yep. Indian Creek Trail. All right, Stone Gap is going to be in 0.5 miles. Very cool. Off we go. Even more of the wintry extravaganza. Nice and slippery stuff. Tell me that's not awesome. I just spent about 20 minutes trying to get the DJI Mimo app on my phone to work with the Osmo Pocket 3 here. And something that's been updated in the last 3 months or since I used it is not letting it talk to each other. But the nice thing is we do have the Indian Creek Falls right here. You can see. I don't know about you, but that I will never get tired of views that look as beautiful as that. Crisp, clean air, the white, stark purity of the snow, the dark contrasting trunks and green leaves of the rhododendrons. What better Sabbath viewing could you have? Just gorgeous, isn't it? But I'll tell you, this almost 40 or 40 degree temperature, because it's supposed to warm up a little bit through the day, is fantastic. I mean, I've done winter before several times, but all I can do is think of that one in 2022, I think it was, where it got down to or a little below 10 degrees. Well, I'll tell you, I'm happy not to deal with that. In fact, today, what I got to be careful of is if I start sweating, then that can be a problem at night when it does get down to the upper 30s. I don't want that, so might have to take off the Carhartt sweatshirt type layer. See what we get. Meanwhile, just look at beautiful white background with such stark contrast to the trees. Oh. Would you look at that? We have our next intersection. Okay, so now we have 1 mile to the Thomas Divide. We are going to split off down this trail right here. Before I do, though, I think I'm going to take off the sweatshirt. It is just too hot. So, back in a moment.
It was really handy to have that signpost to hold all my stuff for me while I got rid of my sweatshirt layer.
Okay, took a short eternity. Finally getting going here on Stone Pile Gap. As you saw, it's about 0.8 miles with one of the signature log footbridge for which this park is so justifiably famous. Look at that. Not even much in the way of icy spots on the footbridge. No, this one isn't bad. That's not bad at all. What a beautiful little trail. How quickly it can all change. Wow. I guess it's a little more exposed up here where the rain could get to it more efficiently. Unlike most of my trails are kind of nice and smooth. I love that. Usually it's like softball-sized boulder-strewn gullies. I really do appreciate it when I have a nice smooth trail like this. It is indeed what we've been looking for our next landmark. Look at that white expanse of the hillside here. You can see a trail going off there to the right. You can see the sign. And this is going to tell us Thomas Divide. Okay, I'll get up here on the steps. Yes, this is where Thomas Divide. Okay. So we just came 1.4 miles. Time to head on towards Deep Low Gap in 4.5 miles. So it gives us a little something to do. This is such a nice trail. Oh, so much better. Finally got enough signal that I was able to download the updated app. That's the problem. And great, now it connects to the camera to my phone. So wonderful. Yeah, not too bad. We've actually not had much blowdown. This has been a fantastic trail. I absolutely love it. What's more beautiful in a nice winter's day than to hike through the snow? Just enough snow to be pretty. Just downright gorgeous. We just missed, I think it was a red-tailed hawk sitting in one of the branches here flying up and out. Yeah, looked like he only went a few feet, so in the off chance, I'm gonna see if we can find him. Just look. Look at that. Look at that. We're finally high enough on Thomas Divide. We're getting close to the ridge line. It looks so cool. But We'll have to wait just a little bit before we get there. We have to remember the Robert Frost axiom of backpacking. And miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. One of my favorite things to harp on about is marcescens. That is when we get to winter. Deciduous trees holding onto their leaves for a big portion of the winter. The beach always stand out that way. Very cool. First time I've taken a rest on the way up here. I could have just kept going, but wanted to switch out the battery from charging the phone to charging the Pocket 3 here. And of course, as soon as I do that, I turn around and lo and behold, I see this beautiful sight. Almost to the top. Well, taking another break on my way up here, and lo and behold, I think I've got a good reason for it. And that is, as you may have guessed, we have another signpost. Sure enough, we are on the good old Thomas Divide. So we've come 2.1, and right here is the Thomas Divide heading towards Deep Low Gap. That's the way we're coming back tomorrow. So for the time being, we're going to curve around here and head another 2.4 up to Deep Low Gap. There we go. Time to get going. Oh, even higher ridge line. You can look off down to the valley, those patches of fog, floating in the little nooks and crannies of the mountains. Meanwhile, up, up, up we go.
One of the things I liked about this trip is that there were relatively few blowdowns. You'll probably hear me mention that again, but I also want to mention that I know it takes an awful lot to keep these trails clear and easy to use, and I appreciate the Park Service's efforts. One of the fun things about hiking in snow, you get to see all the little critters who signed nature's guest book.
Just my luck. The moment I quit focusing hard on what's around me and start looking at the trail, I hear this snort. Then here goes 3 whitetail ripping down the hill right over here. Right down there. You can't see them now, but so I could have recorded that. That would have been nice. Quick quiz. Which side do you think the wind was blowing from when it snowed? I guess if it was left, to me, I would say left. Well, I have to say this is worth pausing for at least a minute, maybe taking a sip of water to celebrate. We have reached Thomas Ridge just before we start going downhill, as you can see here on the map I'll insert, towards Low Gap. So it's all downhill from here to Low Gap anyway.
A few minutes later, I stopped to check the GPS on my phone to see just how much longer it was going to take before I reached Low Gap. And yes, I was having a little fun playing around with the slow-mo feature.
Now these are the kind of blowdowns that I can live with. the kind you can just walk right under. Wow, we're for the past half mile, actually 3/4 of a mile, we've been at an average of 5 to 6 inches deep now. Ever since we split off from the junction there with Indian Creek Motor, it has been 6 inches. Almost weeks. We wish I brought snowshoes. Wow. Look at some of these blowdowns. I didn't look, but I'm guessing we're about maybe 3/4 to half a mile from at Low Gap intersection. As you can see, it does get a bit deep. Yeah, that is what I like to see. Okay, so now that we've reached Deep Low Gap Trail, we're going to take Deep Low Gap heading this way until we hit our campsite 51 in about, oh, what is it here? Indian Creek, so about 1.3, 1.4 miles that direction. And if we were to head on this way, that would be the continuation
of Thomas Divide Trail. As you can see, that 1.2-pound travel tripod was invaluable. By tucking it under my arm, I was able to carry it fully extended so that I could quickly draw it out, put my camera on it, and I was ready to go.
Well, I just finished a call with my parents. It was so nice to talk with them. I was really enjoying that. Then I realized, oh no, been here about half an hour. Probably time for me to get going so I can get to the campsite, about 1.6 miles. I have about an hour and a half. So that's easy to do downhill, that amount. And then I'll get my hammock set up, get some water, and eat my burrito and just sit back and relax. I need to get up early though, because tomorrow I just found out they have a winter storm warning. It's coming a little earlier, it looks like, for some snow. So I need to probably start heading back. So I'll probably leave early in the morning. Well, turns out that the trail here is a lot more narrow, and it tends to kind of slope instead of being straight with a little lip. It kind of slopes off a little bit to the steep downhill side with slick snow on it. Aha. So I have to, in spots, be pretty careful with that. Although we're getting down in elevation already, all told, less snow and even some bare patches. As you can see now, we're starting to get patches of just actual leaves to step on.
Nice as the trails were, I did encounter a few blowdowns, but nothing all that difficult, thankfully.
Well, it's getting on towards 5 o'clock, maybe a little after, and we don't have much daylight left, but not really worried about that. I know I've got a good campsite, and I don't have any worries about making it there on time, because here it is. That's nice to see. Okay. Campfire, which is not going to happen. Everything here is soaked within an inch of its life. So, no campfire. The bear cables are over there to the right. So I want to be a little ways away from that. All right, what two trees? I might choose this one and that one right there.
A little low, but not too bad.
Well, it's almost 6 and I'm all set up at camp here. My bag is hung, the things are in the hammock that need to be, and I'm ready after much slaving over the Ziploc bag, ready to go for my Taco Bell burrito. I'll tell you, when you've had a long, hard day and you don't want to sit there and cook forever, there are times when just bringing a little fast food can be rather helpful. We do have an interesting conundrum. I might have to hoof it out of here really early, do 2 or 3 hours of hiking in darkness tomorrow morning to get to the car sooner. So we'll have to see. Since I'm the only one here at camp, I can go ahead and set an alarm. Well, I guess we'll have to see about that. See you in the morning. It is about 4:15. I just got to bed early and just had all kinds of energy just sitting there awake. So I figured I may as well get up. But anyway, I figured why not be up, enjoy this a little bit. So I'm going to have breakfast, wrapped up bagel with cream cheese, all already on there. Probably not break out the stove. I'm just going to just have some nice water to go with it, get things packed up, and get moving. Well, I got way too relaxed, and it's 5:30 now that we're leaving camp. This is the best I can do for the moment. But I lost the little Govee Bluetooth thing that was tied to the back. But anyway, based on Bryson City and our elevation, I'd say we're around mid-30s, probably 34-ish. Meanwhile, let's head on down the road. Let's see if we do this right, we can avoid dunking our feet in the water. And I am all for avoiding that. No sooner do I turn off the camera than I come to, you guessed it, a signpost. That's Indian Creek and point 4 to the left. We're going to take that, connect to Indian Creek. Then we are going to come back up here and head on down Indian Creek Motor Trail to hit Thomas Divide. So for right now, let's head back on out this way. Oh, this is a road. Oh, nice trail. Nice trail. At least wide enough that you can pick your line. Well, that was fast. Look at that. All right. No bicycles beyond this point. I will go closer and show you. Well, I will. I was being lazy. There we go. And that is Indian Creek Trail that goes on up. And it hits that campsite that my daughter and I stayed at that very first backpacking trip that we did. We are going to go back up the 4/10 of a mile that we just did so we can hit Indian Creek Motor Trail. All right. It's a little bit uphill, but thankfully it is a nice roadbed. That's a lot easier than those single track type trails that are boulder filled. I'll probably cut it back on when we hit that intersection. Well, we're back at the Deep Little Gap Indian Creek Motor Trail intersection.
And from there, I headed 1.8 miles south on the Indian Creek Motor Trail. According to the historic American engineering record of the National Park Service, in 1967, a motor nature trail, like the one near Gatlinburg, was proposed for Deep Creek Campground area, which was renovated in 1960 December to become accessible by car. Work began on the Indian Creek Motor Nature Trail in March of 1968, but after clearing almost 2 miles, was abandoned by early 1969. Although it was abandoned as a motor nature trail, it has, however, made an excellent hiking trail.
We are at the last little bit here of Indian Creek Motor Trail. In fact, the very last little bit where it finally levels out because it has just been uphill, uphill, uphill. But now we have reached that point where you can see the sign over there and the sign over here. That is the trail that we took off on yesterday. Here, splitting off and going up Thomas Divide, splitting off that direction, veering off that direction. And you can see here we have Stone Gap in 2.1, 2.1, then another 1.1 after that. So about 3.2 miles down to Tom Branch Road, and 0.6 after that. So about 3.8 miles, and I'll be at the car. And it's only about 8, oh, I know, about 8:10. I just have to get there before the flurries. They now are saying flurries in Bryson City, so I need to get down there. Oh well, time to go. If you watch any videos on the Thomas Divide Trail, you'll see that that just about everybody probably comments on this, and that is, it was named for Mr. Thomas. I think it was it William Thomas? I believe it was his name.
He was the adopted son of Chief Drowning Bear, who chose him to be chief, and he served for some years in that capacity. He was a powerful advocate of the Cherokee and helped them with establishing the Qualla boundary for the Eastern Cherokee.
Even without clear skies, it's gorgeous. And we will go ahead and get rid of that for them. You'll never guess what I came across on the trail. The little Govee temperature. So now I can do a sync with it and figure out what the temperature was during the time I was camped up there. Okay, this I can be a little miffed about. I think somebody just didn't want to bother themselves with throwing it away. It has been about a mile. I'm confident in my estimate because the sign said 1.1 miles to Stone Gap Trail. And that, of course, is the trail we've got right over here. We entered Thomas Divide yesterday at this point. We have Thomas Divide continuing here, the Tom Branch Road, and that is 1.1, like we said. So time to keep going. This part of the trail I've not been on yet. This is the first time on it since we hit it at Stone Pile. All this from Stone Pile on is new. And it is absolutely beautiful. Somewhere in that next ridge, I think, is where the park boundary is. Another Polly Carolyn Snyder. Okay, so probably the Snyder family graveyard. These little graveyards scattered throughout the park are such a rich part of history. Ah, what a beautiful, beautiful trip this has been. Cool, nice little parking lot here.
After a brief look at the sign for the Thomas Divide Trail, I took off on the Tom Branch Road, sometimes called the Galbraith Creek Road, and sped through the snow and slush to reach the bridge into the Deep Creek campground. And after many miles of creeks, snow, and mountains, I once again reach my car.
Well, we come to the end of yet another successful adventure in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. All kinds of surprises, roads not passable, losing equipment, and then finding it on the way back. Surprisingly beautiful little campsite, wonderful trails. What's not to love? I thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. As always, I am delighted anytime someone wants to share this with somebody else who might like to go backpacking, loves the Smokies, loves being outdoors. So please feel free to share if you want to. All the things that your average YouTube person asks, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Those things are wonderful. If you can, that's great. This is Graybeard for the Sylvan Reflections channel. I'll see you in the next one.
If you like this video, please consider clicking the like, subscribe, and notification bell.